There is a number of practices that you can adopt in order to work on your voice. They include diaphragmatic breathing, relaxation, but in this video I want to share with you a couple of practices that I personally developed and found to be very effective when it comes to working with our voice. The first thing you want to do is hear yourself. Many people just stay away from listening to themselves because they feel a little bit shy, but I think that hearing what you actually sound like in this moment is super critical if you want to improve on your voice. An easy way to do this is to place your palms like this, covering your ears, but not fully, so that you can actually hear what another person in the room would hear if they were listening to you. Another thing you can do is just record yourself. That's the classic way of hearing yourself. And figure out what it is that you dislike about your voice. So select that thing, be very specific about it, write it down and ask yourself, what practices can I adopt to target just that specific thing about my voice? The next thing you want to do is treat your voice practice as an integral part of your life. If you go partying, you don't talk to your leg. You don't say, okay, my leg, I've just practiced walking using you for 5 minutes today, so I can let you rest and not follow me to that party. Your voice is your aspect. Therefore, you bring your voice along wherever you go. See if you can bring your voice and practice your voice whenever you're talking to your mom, to your dad, to your cat, to yourself. Your voice is always with you. So the next thing you want to do with your voice is build a state. You want to speak from a place of enthusiasm, happiness, charisma. According to a writer whose book I read a few months ago, charisma consists of 3 things: warmth, power, and presence. And the more present you are, the more passionate you are about the subject that you are discussing, the more that will inform the quality of your voice. And you can build that state from ground zero. You can be in an abysmal mood, but then if you take responsibility for that and you practice changing the state for a few times, you will notice how flexible you are with your state, in fact, and you will feel more confident every time you're able to build a state solidly. Now, here is a practical thing, and this is my favorite practice in the entire universe. When you speak, you actually make the space around you vibrate. You illumine the air around you. You make the room vibrate with your presence. Make this visualization. Right now, pause this video and say something. You can say, my name is this. And as you are saying that, imagine that by saying those words, you're actually illumining the space around you. Every wall, every object in that room, including your own body, every emotion, every feeling, every thought, as a subtle object, starts vibrating with that voice, with that sound. It emits that sound. Literally everything around you speaks that thing with you. It says your name. And here is a thing that you can do to practice the depth of your voice. So one thing that I want you to do to practice the depth of your voice is to imagine you are talking to a cat who is curling on your lap. Imagine there is a cat that is curling on your lap, that you are petting and stroking with your hand, and now you want to adopt that cat's purring quality. You want to resonate with your cat's depth. And a cat's purring is generally a very deep sound, so you basically want to get informed by that. So imagine that you are talking to your cat. Imagine that you are starting to whisper a little bit. Make your voice intentionally deeper as you are doing this. How would you speak to a cat who is curling on your lap? Another practice that you can adopt is smile as you speak. Suddenly you will illumine the room as you speak, and also that will give your voice a deeper and a sexier quality. Here is a simple way to see this. Imagine you are calling your bank support manager on the other end of town, and they're picking up their phone and they respond, "Hello, how can I help you?" Or what if they say, "Hello, how can I help you?" Can you hear that the smiley quality adds a lot of sincerity and also this friendliness into the sound of one's voice? You can practice this with your friends to show love and compassion, to sound more empathic, to sound more enthusiastic and caring and compassionate and loving, to actually manifest all the greatest qualities that are already within you. Now, the next thing I want you to do is to practice recording voice messages. Many people shun voice messages. We tend to think, oh my goodness, I don't want to take up my friend's time. And there are situations when you'd rather not take up your friend's time. Make sure you split your narrative into sentences. Don't make your narrative one long, everlasting, never-ending sentence. Make sure you put one idea into a sentence. And if there is more you want to say but you don't know how, take your time to think about it. It's okay to make a pause and tell the other person, can I just gather my thoughts? Can I think of the best way I can frame it? Let me just think about it for a moment. Give me a moment. Have a phrase like that up your sleeve. There is nothing wrong with taking your time to think. The other person won't jump in. They won't interrupt you. I think many of us, especially when we're young, we're afraid of being interrupted. And we think that we need to dominate the space by just filling in every second of silence within it. But the more we mature, the more we discover that it's actually okay to take your time to think. In English, we have a group of words that we call fillers. Those words are called to fill up the pauses. And that is a nice intermediary step on your way to practicing your voice, but you can go beyond that step. Once you have replaced your us and us with I mean, like, and stuff like that, now you can take another step, a further step, and now replace those moments with silence, with a pause. You need to get used to the sound of your voice. And while we're on the subject of getting used to the sound of your voice, I want to make this very important point. Learn to love the sound of your own voice. As an idiom in the English language, we tend to treat this idea of falling in love with the sound of your own voice as narcissistic and something to stay away from. But in fact, I don't think it's ever possible to get good at anything that you don't love. So if you really want to speak beautifully, you need to actually get this aesthetic satisfaction and fulfillment by listening to yourself. We are living in the 21st century, and we're well aware that loving oneself is not an egotistical thing, but rather it can be a beautiful thing. It's actually very healthy. So practice that, practice loving yourself, and practice loving your voice. When you're recording yourself, don't only notice the things that go wrong. See if you can notice the things that go right. After you make a voice message, just listen back to yourself and say to yourself, oh, I really liked that moment when I spoke about this. What did I do when I spoke about this? Or perhaps I was very passionate. So that would be my top advice for you if you're interested in practicing your voice quality. If you're interested in private practice, you can write me an email. My name is Lilia, and this is my channel Inktelligent, where I talk about learning English in an intelligent way. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye-bye.